take a break from your catnip toys, because today's theory is going to make you look at your furry friends in a whole new way. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Minecraft Theory, where today we're diving into the dark and twisted world hiding behind those cute puppy dog eyes in Aphmau's latest video. And boy, oh boy, do I mean dark. You see, what starts as a simple story about a cat sneaking into a house full of dogs quickly reveals something far more sinister. But before we get into the nightmare fuel, let me show you what I mean. Right at the start of the video, we see a hungry cat trying to sneak into a house. Seems innocent enough, right? Wrong? Look carefully at what happens next. The dogs immediately spring into action, working together like a well-oiled machine to catch this poor kitty. But wait, doesn't this behavior seem a little trained? A little too coordinated? Now, you might be thinking, but MatPat, from the multiverse, dogs chase cats. That's what they do. And normally I'd agree with you, but let's look at what happens next. When the owner arrives, they scold the dogs not for chasing a cat, but for failing to properly capture it. The owner even says they're going to watch her until I get back. Get back from where exactly? And why do they need to watch this cat so closely? But here's where things get really interesting. The owner mentions something about medicine. Now, at first glance, this seems carrying helping an injured cat, right? But notice how quickly the cat recovers when the owner leaves. Almost like it was never hurt in the first place. The dogs even call this out, saying, "I bet she's faking it." This brings us to our first big piece of evidence. These dogs are trained to capture other animals and keep them contained. The owner has conditioned them to believe they're helping injured animals, but what if, and stay with me here, what if they're actually helping to capture prey? Let's dig deeper into the psychology here. The owner demonstrates classic manipulation tactics. First, they organize a sleepover for the dogs, a reward system. Then, they punish them by withholding food when they fail their task. Sound familiar? Because it should. This is exactly how animal trainers condition their subjects, through reward and punishment. But here's where things get really dark. The owner has placed a turkey, yes, a whole turkey, where none of you can reach it. Why would someone need to hide food from their own pets? Unless these aren't pets at all. They're working animals trained to capture prey but never allowed to eat it themselves. And speaking of that turkey, did you notice what happened when the cat finally got it down? All the dogs immediately fell asleep. That's right, the turkey was drugged. But why would someone need drugged meat in their house? Unless they regularly need to subdue animals. Now, while the dogs are sleeping, the cat explores the house and finds something interesting, a collection of shiny things. But more importantly, they find what appears to be a trophy room. A room full of beautiful and shiny objects that the cat wants to make into a house. But here's the really creepy part. When the dogs wake up and find the cat in this room, they immediately become aggressive again. They say bad cats don't get to take naps and insist the cat shouldn't be up here. Up where exactly? In the trophy room. The room that's apparently off limits to everyone except the owner. This brings us to an even darker question. What exactly is in that trophy room? Why are the dogs so protective of it? And why does the owner need trained dogs to capture animals in the first place? But before we answer those questions, we need to look at one more crucial piece of evidence. Remember how I mentioned the owner's manipulation tactics earlier? Well, there's something else they do that's straight out of the serial killer playbook. They isolate their victims, in this case the dogs, from understanding the true nature of their actions. Think about it, these dogs are convinced they're helping injured animals, but they've been trained to capture and contain them. They're not allowed to eat what they catch. They guard a mysterious trophy room. And their owner regularly disappears on unexplained trips, leaving them behind to guard their captives. But the story gets even darker, friends. Remember the mysterious room I mentioned earlier? Well, buckle up, because what we find there is going to blow your mind. When our feline friend decides to explore upstairs, they discover something that should send chills down your spine, a room full of animals. But these aren't living, breathing animals. These are trophies. Our curious cat even mentions seeing a fox and lots of other creatures they recognize. But here's the truly disturbing part. The dogs call it the trophy room, and they're absolutely terrified of anyone going in there. Now, you might be thinking, but MatPat, lots of hunters have trophy rooms, and you'd be right if this were a normal hunting situation. But let me show you why this is so much more sinister. First, look at how the dogs react when they find the cat in this room. They panic. These supposedly tough guard dogs who were so confident before suddenly become frantic. Why? Because they know something we don't, something about what happens in that room. And speaking of those dogs, let's talk about their bizarre behavior. When they get muddy from playing in the rain, what happens? The cat has to help them clean up before the owner returns. But why are they so desperate to hide any evidence of mess? It's almost like they're afraid of the consequences. The dogs even say something really telling here. They call themselves the best boys, a phrase commonly used by owners to reward their dogs. But in this context, it feels more like programming, doesn't it? Like they're desperately trying to convince themselves they're good dogs, even as they help keep dark secrets. But here's where things get really interesting. When the cat uses the spray bottle to clean the dogs, they all line up obediently. These are supposedly tough guard dogs, but they're completely docile when faced with a simple spray bottle, almost like they've been conditioned to respond to water as a form of control. And then we get to the most chilling part, the owner's trip. Just as all this chaos is unfolding, we learn the owner was about to leave on another mysterious journey. But notice how they phrase it. They were about to leave on a trip, not a vacation. Not a business meeting, just a trip. Remember earlier when I mentioned how serial collectors often take trips to find new additions to their collection? Well, this pattern fits perfectly with that behavior. The owner leaves regularly, comes back with new trophies, and the dogs are trained to help capture any animals that might wander in while they're gone. But there's something even more disturbing about this trophy room. When the cat explores it, they mention seeing familiar animals. Think about that for a second. These aren't exotic hunting trophies from far-off safaris. These are local animals that might have wandered into the yard just like our feline friend did. And the dog's reaction to the cat playing with the fox trophy? Pure panic. They know these aren't just decorations, they're reminders of what happens to animals that get too comfortable in their house. The owner's reaction to finding the cat in the trophy room tells us everything we need to know. No normal pet owner would be that upset about a cat playing with some old stuffed animals, unless those weren't just any stuffed animals, unless each one represents something far more sinister. But to understand just how deep this rabbit hole goes, we need to look at one more crucial piece of evidence. The drug turkey from earlier wasn't just about subduing the dogs, it was a test run. A way to perfect a system for capturing new additions to that trophy room. Don't worry, we will get back to that later. But friends, what happens next reveals something even more disturbing about this supposed hunter and their loyal dogs. And trust me, once you see this, you can't unsee it. Just when things seem like they couldn't get darker, the owner suddenly appears and they grab Aaron, one of the dogs, and announce they're going out to catch dinner. Now that might sound normal at first. Lots of people go out to get dinner, right? But pay attention to the owner's exact words. Just be glad it's none of you. Why would a pet owner need to remind their dogs they're not dinner? Unless some pets have become dinner before. But here's where it gets really interesting. The other dogs try to cover this up by calling these outings business trips. They even brag about having important jobs and being the backbone of the household. But notice how nervous they seem when they say it, how they keep emphasizing how important and good they are. This is classic psychological manipulation, folks. These dogs have been conditioned to believe they're doing important work when really they're helping their owner hunt other animals, and not just any animals, pets and local wildlife that could have been their friends. The proof? Well, the dogs literally tell us themselves we eat whatever our owner doesn't want. Think about that for a second. These aren't treats or normal dog food they're talking about. They're eating the leftover parts of whatever or whoever their owner hunts. And just when you think it couldn't get more sinister, the dogs reveal the truth about all those mannequins in the trophy room. One dog even suggests the cat would look better as a fur coat or on the wall. These aren't jokes or idle threats, they're revealing exactly what happens to the animals they help capture. But here's the really twisted part. When the cat tries to escape, what do the dogs do? They don't just chase it, they actively try to corner it while saying that would look good on the wall. They're not just following orders anymore, they fully bought into their owner's dark hobby. We even see how the owner maintains control over these dogs. When they say, just be glad it's none of you, it's a clear threat. The dogs know that if they don't help catch other animals, they might end up as the next trophy. This is exactly how real-world manipulators operate, using fear and threats to keep their victims in line. The dogs have become so brainwashed that they actually brag about these business trips. They mock the cat for being lazy while proudly talking about their jobs. But what jobs? Helping their owner hunt innocent animals. It's like they've developed Stockholm Syndrome, defending and even celebrating the very person who threatens to turn them into coats. And notice how they describe the trophy room. All the little mannequins and everything. They can't even call them what they really are. They've created this alternate reality where they're not helping to kill other animals. They're just collecting mannequins and going on business trips. But the owner's true nature slips through when they say they'll deal with the cat later. This is the language of a normal pet owner. This is the language of someone who sees animals as objects to be dealt with and turned into decorations. Speaking of decorations, remember that emerald pillow the cat finds? Why would a hunter need to hide emeralds in pillows? Unless they're not really a hunter at all, but something much worse, someone who needs to hide the profits from their illegal animal trading operation. But to understand just how deep this conspiracy goes, we need to look at some disturbing parallels between this hunter's behavior and real-world animal trafficking operations. And trust me, what we find there is going to change everything you thought you knew about this seemingly innocent video. But here's where things get really interesting, folks. When a skunk appears outside, we see something that changes everything we thought we knew about this situation. And trust me, it's not just about the smell. Watch what happens. The dogs immediately try to catch the skunk, saying it would look good on the wall. But our feline friend does something unexpected. They try to help the skunk escape. This isn't just a cat being nice. This is a cat who's seeing what happens in that trophy room and doesn't want another innocent animal to end up there. But pay extra close attention to what happens next, because this is where things get dark. Really dark. The yard is full of traps. That's right, hidden traps that our cat friend gets caught in while trying to help the skunk. Now, why would a normal pet owner need traps in their backyard? Unless they're not just hunting in the woods, they're turning their own home into a hunting ground. Think about it, these aren't just any traps. They're designed to catch small animals alive. The same kinds of animals we saw in that trophy room earlier, but here's the really twisted part. When the cat gets caught, the dog's first reaction isn't to help. Instead, they laugh and call it a prank. This reveals something crucial about their psychology. These dogs have been so thoroughly conditioned that they see trapping other animals as a game, a prank, something fun. This is exactly how real manipulators work. They make their victims think harmful actions are just normal, fun activities. But there's an even darker layer here. Notice how quickly the dogs turn on the cat when they get the upper hand. They say, "Do you want a taste of your own medicine?" Remember, this is right after the cat helped them clean up their mess and saved them from getting in trouble. The dogs don't care about friendship or loyalty to anyone except their owner. Speaking of loyalty, we get the most chilling line yet: dogs are man's best friends. But look at the context. They say this right after talking about how their owner might turn them into fur coats. This isn't just some cute saying, it's proof of how deeply they've been brainwashed. They're literally pledging loyalty to someone who threatens to kill them. And let's talk about those traps again. The owner has them placed strategically around the property. This isn't amateur hour, this is a professional setup. Someone who knows exactly how to catch animals without damaging their precious fur. Someone who's done this many, many times before. But here's what really seals the deal. When the cat suggests cleaning up before the owner returns, the dogs suddenly get very nervous. They know the consequences of disappointing their owner. They've seen what happens to animals that don't follow the rules. They've probably helped put some of them on that trophy room wall. The way they keep saying we don't want to get in trouble shows just how scared they are. But trouble for what? Making a mess? Or letting potential trophies escape? Based on everything we've seen, I think we all know the answer to that. But to really understand how deep this rabbit hole goes, we need to look at one more crucial piece of evidence. Something that ties everything together and reveals the true nature of these hunting trips. And trust me, once you see it, you'll never look at this cute little sleepover the same way again. But friends, what happens next reveals something so disturbing that it changes everything we thought we knew about these dogs and their mysterious owner. And trust me, this is where things get really dark. When the owner discovers the mess, their reaction isn't just angry, it's calculating. Watch how they make all the dogs sit like they're about to be judged. But here's the truly chilling part. The dogs immediately start pleading, "I'm a good boy." Over and over. This isn't just normal dog behavior, this is fear, pure raw fear. But why are they so scared? Well, pay attention to what one of the dogs whispers. He's not going to shave us, is he? Or turn us into toys. Toys. Not trophies, not decorations, but toys. This single word reveals something horrifying about what happens in that trophy room. These dogs have seen their owner turn living animals into playthings, and they're terrified of meeting the same fate. And then comes the most revealing moment yet. The owner sends them outside, but adds one crucial detail. Don't leave the fence line. Now, any normal pet owner might say this to keep their dogs safe, but remember what we learned earlier about those traps in the yard. That fence line isn't just keeping the dogs in, it's keeping them within the owner's hunting grounds. But here's where things get even more twisted. When the cat calls out the owner for being crazy and mean, watch how quickly the dogs jump to defend him. "Don't you dare talk about my best friend like that," they say. Best friend, the same person who just threatened to turn them into toys. This is textbook Stockholm Syndrome, folks. And then we get to what might be the most disturbing revelation yet. The dogs tell the cat if you can hunt, he'll keep you around. Just let that sink in for a second. These dogs aren't just pets, they're hunting tools. The owner only keeps animals that help them catch other animals. It's a twisted pyramid scheme of predator and prey. But wait, it gets worse. Watch how the dogs try to teach the cat to hunt. They're not teaching normal hunting skills, they're teaching specific techniques their owner wants. Loud and reckless, they say, criticizing the cat's natural stealth. Why? Because their owner doesn't want quick, clean kills. They want to create chaos to terrorize their prey before capturing them. The dogs even mock the cat for hunting mice, calling them snacks, not meals. This tells us something crucial about their owner's preferences. They're not interested in small prey. They want bigger targets, more impressive trophies for their collection, the kind that would look good mounted on a wall. Did you catch how the dogs mentioned foxes? It wasn't just a random example. Remember that fox we saw in the trophy room earlier? These dogs have helped their owner hunt foxes before. They know exactly what happens to the animals they catch, yet they keep doing it. Why? Because they've been completely brainwashed into thinking this is normal. But to understand just how deep this conditioning goes, we need to look at one more crucial piece of evidence. Something that reveals the true purpose of these hunting lessons and shows us exactly how this owner turns innocent pets into willing accomplices. The cat manages to catch a bird, showing off their hunting skills, but watch the dog's reaction. They're not impressed. Instead, they say the bird wasn't even worth hunting. Why? Because their owner has trained them to go after bigger prey, the kind that would make more impressive trophies. And then comes the moment that changes everything. A group of foxes appears, and the dog's immediate reaction tells us something chilling. One dog says, "Those foxes will eat me." This isn't just fear of foxes, it's the fear of someone who knows exactly what happens when animals fight in this yard. Because remember those traps we saw earlier? They're not just for catching animals, they're for staging fights. But here's where it gets really dark. When the owner returns and finds out what happened, they don't just get angry. They say something that confirms every suspicion we've had: "I should just get rid of you once and for all." And then comes the most chilling line yet: "I'll knock you all out and use your skin to finish my coat." This isn't just a threat. This is the revelation of the owner's true purpose. They're not keeping these dogs as pets. They're not even keeping them as hunting companions. They're keeping them as potential materials for their twisted collection. The dogs are just future coats waiting to be made. Think about it. The owner has been conditioning these dogs to help catch other animals, promising them they won't end up like their victims as long as they help. But now we see the truth. The owner sees all animals as nothing more than future trophies. The dogs are partners. They're just tools that haven't outlived their usefulness yet. And notice how the owner phrases it: "Finish my coat." Finish? This isn't the start of a new project. This is the completion of something they've been working on. How many other animals have already become part of this coat? How many failed pets have been turned into fashion accessories? But here's what really seals our theory. When faced with this threat, one of the dogs still tries to help the cat escape. Why? Because even in their brainwashed state, some small part of them recognizes the horror of their situation. They want at least one animal to get away from their owner's twisted collection. The dog even says, "Remember that it was a dog that saved you." This isn't just a boast, it's a cry for help. These dogs know they're trapped in this cycle of violence, forced to either help catch other animals or become trophies themselves. They're trying to save at least one potential victim, knowing they can't save themselves. And what about those traps the owner mentions? "My new trap," they say, emphasizing the word new. This tells us something crucial. The owner is constantly upgrading their hunting methods. They're not just collecting trophies, they're perfecting the art of capturing and preserving their victims. But to understand just how deep this obsession goes, we need to look at one final piece of evidence. Something that ties everything together and reveals the true purpose of this seemingly innocent sleepover. And now we come to the most chilling evidence of all, friends. The final piece that proves everything we've been saying about this supposed pet owner and their true nature. And trust me, this is going to change everything you thought you knew about this seemingly innocent video. Watch what happens when the cat tries to save one of the dogs. The owner, in a moment of pure rage, says something incredibly telling: "I just decided I hate cats. Not I'm angry or get out of my house, but a cold, calculated decision to hate an entire species." This is exactly how serial collectors think. They don't see individual animals, they see categories of potential trophies. But here's where things get really dark. When the cat knocks out the owner to save the dogs, look at their reaction. Instead of running away from their abuser, they actually try to help them. "I want him first." They cry, competing to see who can wake up their tormentor fastest. One dog even brags about who will beat with the newspaper the most. This isn't just Stockholm Syndrome anymore. This is something far more sinister. These dogs have been so thoroughly brainwashed that they've internalized their abuse. They actually believe that helping their abuser is a competition they should win. And notice something really disturbing: when they think their owner is hurt, they don't show concern or worry. Instead, they see it as a chance to prove their loyalty. This is exactly what happens in real cases of psychological manipulation. The victims become more devoted to their abuser when they're vulnerable, creating a cycle of dependency that's almost impossible to break. The cat, being an outsider, sees this clearly. They even say guest dogs really are loyal, but this isn't normal loyalty. This is programmed behavior carefully cultivated by someone who sees these animals as tools rather than pets. But here's the truly horrifying part. When the dog appears to be dead, what does the cat do? They dig a grave. Think about that for a second. This cat, who's only been in the house for one day, immediately assumes any unconscious animal is dead and needs to be buried. Why? Because they've seen enough in that trophy room to know what usually happens to animals in this house. And then comes the final damning piece of evidence. Just when it seems like the dogs might break free from their conditioning, what happens? A squirrel appears and instantly they're back to their programmed behavior. Get it? Get it? Get it? They chant, completely forgetting the horror they just experienced. Their owner literally just threatened to turn them into a coat, but one small animal appears and they're right back to being hunting machines. This proves everything we've been saying. These aren't just pets, they're brainwashed accomplices in a twisted collection scheme. Their owner isn't just a hunter, they're a serial animal collector who uses psychological manipulation to turn their victims into willing participants. Those business trips aren't innocent hunting expeditions, they're scouting missions for new trophies. And that trophy room isn't just decoration, it's a memorial to every animal that failed to please their captor. But hey, that's not all the craziness we've discovered on this channel. If you want to see more mind-blowing theories that'll change how you see your favorite games and shows forever, YouTube's got another video picked just for you right up there on your screen. Click it. Trust me, your brain will thank you later. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join our ever-growing army of theorists. Remember, that's just a theory, a Minecraft theory. See you next time.